For a lot of you, I know, this is why you wanted to homestead. Because you love little baby goats. Not too long ago, I asked on Instagram and on YouTube, our audience, why did you want to start homesteading? Why did you start? Why do you want to start? And a lot of people talked about loving working with animals. That's a major reason why. But it's actually not the biggest reason. Can you believe it? There was one reason, hands down, more people wanted to start homesteading or started homesteading. Self-sufficiency. Blew all the other ones away. Comment below, I'd love to know why you want to start a homestead or why you started homesteading. Is it because of the cute little animals? Is it because of self-sufficiency? Is it something else? It's pretty funny because our homesteading journey kind of started for both those reasons. Kay loves working with baby animals, little goats and calves and chicks. And both of us really wanted to know where our food was coming from. And that was another thing a lot of people mentioned, just knowing where your food comes from. Whoa, chicken. If you want to know where your food comes from, if you want to be more self-sufficient, there's one way that's easier, I think, than any other way to be the most self-sufficient, and it's actually something you could do this coming year, 2025. You could totally do this. Honestly, like anybody watching could do this as long as your health is good enough to get up and walk around and you have some way of maybe driving yourself to a place, or at least you have a little property of your own out back. Anybody can do this. You're going to be a lot more self-sufficient if you do this. What is it? It's the same thing that we did 15 years ago when we started our homestead journey. And I think it's a perfect first step for most of you.
6 years ago, we moved to this piece of property. At the time, it was not a farm, it wasn't a homestead.
We decided pretty early on in our homestead journey to get livestock, and we decided first livestock we wanted to get into was chickens.
These are all egg-laying chickens. We have some that we've hatched ourselves. We have some we've bought from hatcheries.
Right, chickens are what everybody kind of gets. And we started with egg-laying chickens like most people do. And after having egg-laying chickens for like a year or so, we started thinking, you know what? Chickens are chickens. We have all the infrastructure for them. What if we got some meat chickens?
If your family's like mine, you probably go through a lot of chicken. We eat chicken at least once a week. Sometimes we'll have it for dinner, and then the next day we'll have the leftovers for lunch. So behind me here you see our chicken setup.
We wanted to grow more of our food, and farm fresh eggs was a little bit of our food, but it wasn't a lot. We thought meat chickens would be a great way to grow more of our food. So we took the leap. We bought 10 Cornish cross meat chickens. We got them from our local feed store. They were just little baby chicks at the time. We brought them home, we set up a little brooder area for them and got them nice and cozy and warm, and we fed them and we cared for them, and they grew from little teeny tiny fuzzy chicks to being like little teenage chickens. And that's when we moved them outside to our little red chicken coop, just like this one. And they lived out in the chicken coop, and we'd go out in the morning and open the doors, and they'd walk out and they'd eat some grass and they'd eat some bugs, and they had a really nice life. And then butcher day came.
Butchering those chickens was a huge step in the path of self-sufficiency. It wasn't easy to do. Neither of us were used to raising animals and then eating them. That was a new concept. And I actually wrote a blog post back in 2012 in a post called The Reality of Meat. And I talked about how difficult this was. Every night I go down, feed my chicks, water them. I check to make sure they're all in the brooder and looking healthy. Realizing that soon I will have to process the same birds that come running to me for treats hurts my heart a little. And yet, I believe this is how it should be. When we choose to eat meat, we have chosen to end a creature's life, whether or not we did the deed ourselves. Shouldn't that reality resonate with us from pasture to plate? Next month, when I sit down and enjoy my first fried chicken dinner, I'll be comforted by this reality, not burdened by it. I will remember the good, healthy, and happy life my chicks enjoyed. I will be proud that the reality was a good one. And you can be absolutely sure that not one scrap of my chicken will be thrown out.
We've come a long ways from just those original 10 Cornish cross chickens. Now we run a whole flock of lamb. We have a herd of cows and a water buffalo in there somewhere. We do goats, of course. We still do chickens. We actually grew from those original Cornish cross chickens to raising all of our family's meat. Our beef, our lamb, our pork, our chicken, all of it. From those first 10 meat birds, we grew and grew and grew to the point where we stopped needing to buy meat from the grocery store. And it wasn't just raising the meat either. Over time, we learned how to butcher chicken. We learned how to butcher lambs. We learned how to butcher cows and pigs and everything. So now we raise, breed, and butcher all our own meat. And we've been doing that for a long time, and we have found that is the easiest way to grow the most food for a big family. We have a really big family. We have 9 of us now, and we found that growing meat was the easiest way to do that, and we're not alone. We did a study about this a couple years ago.
We reached out to all of you out there in the Homesteady audience, and we found over 100 different homesteads that are raising around 75% of their food.
And we asked them, what are they growing? What do they find to be the most efficient thing to grow on their homestead?
And out of all those homesteads, it was very clear.
64% of these homesteads said meat.
Every big producer, big grower on their homestead grew some sort of meat.
There were 2 animals that stood out over all the others that people said were the easiest way to grow the most food for their families. One of them, the reason why I have like so much huge giant rolls of hay here, beef. Hands down, beef wins. And that makes sense because, I mean, they're huge, right? You can grow up beef and get so much food from that beef. Plus, what so many people said was you can also grow them off of your own pasture. If you have the grass, if you have the forage, it's very low input, huge output. Well, I do think most of you, and I'll explain how, can do your own meat. I don't think most of you can do beef. So that's one that's like not something everyone has the kind of land access that we do. We manage a family farm here, so we have access to a lot of land. It was years before we had enough land to grow our own beef. Ooh, big storm blowing in today, which is why it's nice to be self-sufficient. I don't have to run out to the grocery store for milk because there's my milk. Here's the thing. Beef was the first one people mentioned, but the second, the runner-up, the best way you could grow the most food for your family is something that you can totally do. Again, if you can walk, if you're fit enough to get around, you have a vehicle, even if you don't own land, you can raise number 2.
Number 2 slot on what meat you should grow is one that can fill your freezer a lot faster as you wait for your beef to get ready, and that was chickens. Specifically, chickens raised for meat. So in 2 to 4 months, you can have a freezer full of chickens grown right out of your backyard. You don't need a lot of space for them either.
And right behind me there, I have all my winterized John Suscovich chicken tractors. The reason that I say any one of you watching can raise your own meat in the form of Cornish cross meat chickens, even if you don't have a farm, even if you don't have land, is because literally that is how John Suscovich started. John Suscovich designed those chicken tractors to fit into a trailer that he could rent at Tractor Supply because he didn't even own a trailer and he didn't have his own land. He didn't have a farm. He just had a dream.
I went on Google Maps and looked for open fields with houses near them. I left flyers in people's mailboxes. I knocked on doors. If there was somebody I thought was home, I would drive around to where I saw open tracts of land and said, hey, infrastructure can be mobile. I would like to operate on your grass, your hay fields here. Let's have a chat. And because I was so passionate about it, because I was so invested, and that had to have been apparent to who I was talking to, I actually fielded several offers. Oh, you can have this field, you can have that field, and I got to choose where I wanted to operate the farm in the beginning. These chicken tractors are built to sit on a trailer and drive across town if need be. I knew that I could get started in one place and if I needed to, move to another.
And it worked. He was fielding offers in an area of the country where land is so expensive, Connecticut. And if you do get it, taxes are crazy, he had multiple people offering him a spot to grow his own meat chickens, and he started his business that way. And you probably know John Suscovich. If you don't, you can check out his channel, Farm Marketing Solutions. Please do. He's actually publishing videos very frequently again, and I'm really excited because he's my buddy and he's been working hard, getting back into the YouTube thing. Check out Johnny's videos. He's talking again about pasturing and chickens. He's got a good series coming out soon about pasturing chickens, so you're not gonna wanna miss that, especially if you think that you could do this. You could build a couple chicken tractors and grow some of your own meat, because I totally think you can. I totally think you should, because it's the easiest way to be way more self-sufficient. I know you can learn to do it because I did. I did not grow up on a farm. I was totally a city kid. I had no experience in butchering or farm animals or anything.
Oh, sorry. Touchy subject.
And I learned how to grow all my own meat chickens and how to butcher them. And once we started down that path, we didn't stop. We added more and more and more. For us, we went from meat chickens to raising a couple pigs. Pigs are kind of like giant Cornish cross chickens. They eat a ton of feed. They lay around all day and don't do a whole lot. They're not very good at flying. We raised a couple meat pigs and that went over really well. And after that, the ball was rolling, and over the next few years, we added in another animal. We've tried like every way you can grow meat on your property. I mean, we've done it. We've done almost everything you could possibly do. And over time, we have learned what is the easiest ways to do it, what's the best ways to do it, what makes it easier, what makes it harder. And that's why I've put together a brand new course, which is gonna help you grow all your meat. Now, stay tuned to the end because I'm actually gonna share some of the course with you. You're gonna get to watch some of that first lesson. The course is made up of a few different lessons. Each lesson focuses on one type of meat. There are a lot of different kinds of pig breeds, and you'll hear a lot about the different breeds. Like, for example, Tamworth, sometimes people refer to as the bacon pig. Berkshire pork is known. And in that lesson, we break down what kind of livestock you want to raise to produce that meat, what breed is best, how to find it, what equipment you're going to need so that you're ready for that animal to be on your homestead and to care for it. Nothing beats woven wire. If you have high tensile electric, you will find that they escape. Woven wire is best when it comes to infrastructure. We're going to tell you methods of growing these animals the easiest, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. What I would suggest is, again, find someone near you who raises feeder rings. Let them do the breeding. You go and buy a couple of feeder rings. We cover butchering because the honest truth is not everyone lives close to a good butcher or a good butcher facility. Not all of us have livestock trailers. Sometimes it's hard to find somebody who can butcher. During the days of COVID, it was almost impossible to find someone who could butcher your larger livestock. And chickens, I mean, I don't have anybody near me who I can... Finding someone to butcher your chickens sometimes is next to impossible. We're going to teach you all the things you need to know so you can raise all your family's meat. As a parent with kids, a family to care for, I have always felt a little bit better knowing that my freezer is full of a year's worth plus meat, and it's not all beef. There's variety there. There's lots of different things we can enjoy eating. I want that same peace of mind, knowing where your food comes from and that there's plenty of it. I want you to have that same peace of mind. It won't happen overnight. You won't do it in 1 year. It is a journey that takes a long time, but I know you can do it, and you can start the same way I did, the same way John Suscovich did. No matter what roadblocks you have, you can do it, and we're gonna help you with this course. Before I show you some of the very first lesson in that course, where can you get the course? What does it cost? All that, right? We are gonna share some stuff here on YouTube. Like in a few minutes, I'm gonna share some of the first lesson. But here's the thing. This course is all about raising animals for meat. We share a lot of information on butchering and processing and slaughtering. Just a heads up, the next part of this video will be a little bit graphic as you're gonna see the butchering process. A lot of that information we're gonna just keep off of YouTube. We don't really put butcher videos or anything with slaughtering or meat processing on YouTube anymore, just because YouTube has gotten more and more restrictive with their guidelines and monetization, and unfortunately it's not good to rock the boat there. Otherwise we could lose touch with most of you who watch us through this channel. So we're gonna keep this course on our website. It's going to be available for purchase. When the entire course is done, you'll be able to come, you'll be able to purchase the course. It's gonna be a $50 course, but there's an even cheaper way that you can get into this course today. You can dive in and see the lessons that we already have available. And that's by becoming a Homesteady Pioneer. You've probably heard me mention the Pioneer program before. It's a monthly membership program, $5 a month, but we have a super Black Friday sale going on right now where if you sign up for a year, you can join for $3.30 per month. That helps us produce this kind of content, the educational content that we do. You can become a Homesteady Pioneer, $3.30 a month if you click here and get our Black Friday sale. Already in the Pioneer Library, lesson 1 on chickens is available, as well as the bonus lesson, which shows you how to butcher chickens from start to finish. All available. You can dive right in today. I am about 90% done editing lesson 2 on pigs. In addition to the video in each lesson, we have a printout plan. If you watch the lesson on chickens and you're like, yep, I'm gonna do it this year, I'm gonna raise my own meat chickens, just hit print on that plan. You'll get your printout plan. You fill in the blanks, which help you decide the things like what breed are you gonna get, how many should you order this year, where are you gonna get them from. Fill out your plan, put it up on the refrigerator, and come 2025, you're gonna be ready to grow meat in your own backyard. And if you do this over the next few years, you just keep adding another to the list, you'll wind up like we did, where you're growing all your own meat. If you become a Homesteady Pioneer today, you also get instant access to everything in the Pioneer Library. We have a lot of other really good classes and courses in that library. Your First Family Milk Cow is a class that Kate put together a year ago that goes through everything you need to know to get started with a family milk cow.
Do you want a family milk cow?
We have the Start Homesteading Today course. In addition to courses, there's a lot of other videos and podcasts. There's also discounts. If you're gonna build a John Suscovich chicken tractor, you get a discount on his book, on his plans, on his pastured poultry packet. We'd love to have you in the Pioneer program. If you can join, now is a great time with our Black Friday sale. Click there to take advantage of that. Now, more importantly than having you join the Pioneer program is joining this movement of homesteaders who are becoming more self-sufficient, who are growing their own meat in their backyard. Like I said, you can do it. So now, without further ado, enjoy a segment from the first lesson on growing all your own meat. Meat chickens. I hope you enjoy it.
There's a lot you need to know when you're trying to raise all your own meat. So here's how we're gonna break it down in this guide. First off, we're gonna cover the meat that you wanna grow. We're gonna tell you what the best breed of that particular livestock is to grow that meat. We'll tell you how to source it, what land requirements you're gonna need, what infrastructure you're gonna have ready, and if you're gonna process it yourself, what equipment you'll need. We'll tell you what yield you can expect. Make sure to watch to the end. We have a couple warnings for any of you who are headed down this path. There's some things you need to know.
We'll start where I think most people start, and that is raising your own chicken. A lot of people get into chickens to do farm fresh eggs, and after spending a year or two working with them, you think, you know what? I could raise a couple extras, have my own roast chicken. That's exactly how we started on our meat journey. We actually got 10 meat chickens our first year, kind of tried it out at a small scale. And that's a really good way to get going. If you want to get into the world of growing your own meat, start small, just a little batch. We did 10 Cornish cross chickens. And after that being really, really successful, we scaled up. And ever since, for the last probably 12 years or so, we've been raising all our own chicken for our family. We have a big family. We have a family of 9 now. So that's not a small amount of chicken that we raise every year.
Okay, there's a lot of different breeds of chicken out there. If you want to raise chicken that looks like the chicken you purchase at the store, but is farm fresh, tastes delicious, something you grow in your backyard, we have tried all different kinds of breeds, heritage breeds, Red Rangers, Freedom Rangers. The best breed we feel to replicate what most people are used to is the Cornish cross chicken. And we're not alone in this opinion. We asked our audience over at YouTube, an audience full of homesteaders, what is the best chicken breed you raise for meat? And hands down, by a long shot, more people picked the Cornish cross than Rangers or heritage meat birds.
And that's because the Cornish cross grows quickly and it grows huge. It's also a really easy chicken to butcher. Now, if you want to get Cornish crosses, how do you source them? Where do you buy them? The Cornish cross is a commercial breed of chicken. It's not something that you can produce in your backyard. You can't buy it from another homesteader. You're going to have to buy from a hatchery. There are many different hatcheries. You can find them online. You can find them local in your state. Generally, you'll be ordering through a catalog that you receive in the mail or through the hatchery's website. You'll order your chicks. They'll ship them to your local post office. You'll go and pick them up. Depending on the time of year and where you live, you may be able to find local feed stores or Tractor Supplies that actually have purchased Cornish cross chickens, and you can buy them locally. That's a nice option because the chicks have already survived shipment. However, if you want to get chicks at a very specific date, the best way to go about it is order through a hatchery.
One of the great things about raising meat chickens is that almost anybody can do it. If you even have just a small backyard, you could raise some Cornish cross chickens in your backyard. You don't need a lot of land and you don't need a lot of space, unlike some of our other animals we're going to talk about today.
Infrastructure for Cornish crosses can be pretty minimal. Basically, you need to feed them, you need to water them, and you need to keep them safe from predators. When they first arrive to your homestead, they're just little chicks, so you want to provide all their basic needs in a brooding setup. That's an area that the chicks will be safe and they'll have all their basic needs provided. So what are those basic needs? First and foremost, they'll need a source of heat to keep them warm. There are a few different devices you can use to give chicks heat. We generally will use heat lamps in our brooding setups. In addition to warmth, you'll want to make sure that they have fresh, clean water and good, clean chicken feed. Cornish crosses like to make a mess of things, so it's best to use a feeder and water that's specifically designed for chicks and chickens to use. As they get older, it will be time to move your chickens outside. You can use a coop and run for Cornish crosses. Over the years, we have shifted to using chicken tractors, and after experimenting with a few different designs, we have decided that the John Suscovich chicken tractor is our favorite design to work with. Each chicken tractor can raise about 30 chickens. You can move them around daily onto fresh grass. At the same time, they're safe from predators and from the elements. We have a pretty big family. We like to eat at least a chicken or two every single week. So we have 3 John Suscovich chicken tractors. At the beginning of the season, we purchase 100 Cornish cross chicks. When you purchase 100, they're a little bit discounted, so it's nice to get them in bulk like that. You're always going to have a few chickens die, so generally, on average, we find with 100 chicks, we'll have about 90 chickens at the end, which will give us 1 to 2 chickens per week to cook for our family throughout the year. We run them in the pasture, we feed them water and feed twice a day. We move the chicken tractors every single day. And after 8 weeks of hard work, we have 1 day of really hard work, Chicken Butcher Day. It's an enormous undertaking, but everybody pitches in and helps. And at the end of the day, we have over a year's worth of chicken.
I have a really exciting presentation for everybody today. We're gonna show you how we at our homestead butcher meat chickens. 2025, this could be the year that you start. We started with just 10 chickens. I think that's a great number if you've never done it before. Start with 10. Butcher day of 10 chickens is a lot when you're new at this, and then grow from there. Comment below, let me know, what kind of meat are you gonna grow for your family this year in your backyard? Click here to join the Pioneer program at our Super Black Friday price. That'll be available until the end of November, and then it goes away. So don't wait, click there, become a Pioneer today.